Alright, military submission guns, and I'm doing this video just simply for the fact that I realized I have almost all of them and it would be silly not to. So, the ultimate goal was to phase out or kind of come up with a better option than the Beretta M9 or M92 or M92FS, depending on the variant of the branch of military and what they were carrying. The ultimate goal, as far as my understanding goes, was for all of the weapon systems to be fully ambidextrous, and they wanted to be able to accommodate shooters of all hand sizes. I believe it was a minimum of 17 rounds in the magazine. So a lot of companies threw their hats into the ring. So replacing the M92FS, Beretta came out with this. This is the M9A3, and this is my actual first unboxing of it. Comes in a cardboard box, and one thing that I noticed that I actually thought was pretty funny, and you kind of have to question as to who messed up first. Make sure to take out product before using Target. Either Beretta didn't think too much of its consumer, or something really funny must have happened, and I would like to know the backstory on that one. So, first time actually opening this, let's break into it. I have seen these boxes before, and I know what it looks like on the inside, so I'm not going to be surprised. You guys might be. Another cool note, some of the M9A3s were actually made in the US, some were made in Italy. The ones that are made in Italy apparently are more expensive or more sought after. I'm not sure if that's true, that's just something that I've been told. So we'll be doing a side-by-side, and for the record, these all have been safety checked. So breaking into the Beretta box, very ammo tin looking case. A ring gasket seal, that's always good. Standard Washington State literature. More Washington literature. Register your new gun. I will. Addendum to the 92-96 instruction manuals. Read manual. More literature. Okay, on to the gun. The coloration is actually really reminiscent of the Scar 17 in the flat dark earth variation, so that's cool. The magazines of the M9A3 have a DLC coating on them, and they are super slick. Very, very, very smooth. And the reason for the smoothness and the channels in them is so you can pull a stuck or would-be stuck magazine out if it got sand inside the magwell. So sand is not going to, in theory, get this stuck inside your gun. If you think about it, where we have soldiers operating with this, it's going to be a little bit different than where this was designed for, to an extent. So, really cool magazines. They give you 3, which is awesome. Really tiny grips. And this is leaning towards the kind of one gun fits all thing. This is way too small for my hand, but they actually offer you, in the box, they offer you a full wraparound Hogue grip. So this kind of fills the one gun suits all thing. They also give you a threaded barrel from the factory, which is really nice. And you can see that red O-ring in there. Just like the FN509, it's one of those forward-thinking things where they don't want your thread protector to walk off. Now, something interesting about this gun, there is no mag, there's nothing in the chamber, is on this Beretta, we can have the hammer back, we put the weapon on safe, and it's going to decock. And we now are safe. It kills the trigger. Now, if we were to pull the trigger again, it would rock in double action. On this one, you go to decock, and it springs right back up. So this design was kind of forward-thinking in the fact that they realized you're not going to have a negligent discharge with this heavy of a double action trigger, and having the weapon on safe and drawing it in a panic situation and pulling the trigger, they want at least something to happen. Some people like it, some people hate it. I don't really mind one way or another. This is how I carried the M9, so I don't really have a problem with it. The M9A3 comes with night sights, and thankfully they are also a square notch rear. And something else that's new, the M9A1 had a pick rail, but it was just a single slot T-shaped thing. The M9A3 has 3 slots and a flat back, and that flat back is for a weapon light to mount up to. So this little cutout recess here would be for the paddles of a Surefire X300 or your TLR 1 through 7 or 1 through 9 or whatever number they're up to now. So cool. Takedown. Exactly the same as before. Polymer guide rod, kind of a bummer. Vickers Tactical makes a stainless steel guide rod, and it's the same guide rod from all variants. You can see that they carried that really beautiful finish all the way through to the inside of the frame as well. It feels like it's going to be one of those magical self-lubricating finishes. Whether that's actually a thing or not, that's for you to decide. I don't personally believe in it. So M9A3. Cool gun. They went from the traditional 15 up to a 17 round mag, and it's a flush fitting mag. Let's feel the trigger on it. Again, making sure we are clear. So take up is quick and fast. Very clean break. Decent reset, double action, smooth the whole way through. So it's kind of hard to be excited about the newer Berettas. It's, again, just a newer rendition of a Beretta. They do come in pretty cool packaging. It's cool that they offer 3 mags. I really like the color. You guys know me, I dig Flat Dark Earth a lot. And the box is neat. So definitely an improvement over the original M9. So let's move that aside. So next up, to replace the Beretta, was something similar to this. This is a P07, not a P09. But again, this goes towards the whole ambi everything. Pretend that this was longer, this would be a P09. I have lost my thread protector because this one, guess what, didn't have an O-ring. It fell off when I was shooting at the range, and I didn't really care enough to stop everyone from shooting so I could climb out in front of everyone, look like a jackass, and find my thread protector. But ambi everything. Take the mag out. This is 17 rounds as well. Making sure that we are in fact clear. And we are. So we have a decocker. And on the P07, you actually get the option of having this be a decocker or a safety. If you notice, when I pulled down on the decocker, that red dot, which would otherwise be covered, so this position would be fire and that position would be safe if you were to change this out. And I've done it before, and I am never doing it again. This has suppressor height sights. They are in fact night sights. They are really, really tall and really sharp. I've yet to find a good holster that I like for this. Something to note about the P07 or P09, again checking, making sure. Good single action, pretty gritty double action, but look how minimal the slide is. It's not actually that small, it is kind of recessed, but the way that it recoils is very straight back, and it has really negligible muzzle flip for being a 9mm. I really enjoy shooting this gun. So the P07 or P09 as it would be if it was a military trial gun, again, obviously in my opinion, beats the original M9. Moving forward from that, Smith & Wesson offered theirs, which was the M9A3. This one has an apex trigger in it, and obviously it doesn't have the thumb safety, because another thing that they wanted to have on pretty much all of these was a thumb safety and ambi controls. So to make up for that, here's my M9A3 2.0 compact. This is the thumb safety variant, no apex trigger. So trigger comparisons on this gun are going to be kind of unfair because it has the apex kit in it. So take up and just incredible break. Kind of a mushy reset, but the trigger break makes up for it. I think this would have been a really great option as well. This one is actually an occasional carry gun of mine, so. Alright, we're going to start setting all of our contenders out in a line. And as you all well know, the one that they landed on was the SIG P320. I don't dislike this gun. I don't like this gun. This has an apex trigger in it as well. Sorry. See? Triple check. Always make sure, you guys. Again, this goes towards the ambi everything, or ambi-able. And it's a good gun. You know, it's modular. The fact that the trigger pack inside of here is the actual gun itself, and these shells, you can change out for any shape or sized hand. You can change these shells out. This is a large shell. They have small, medium, and XL, I believe. And you can go full size, you can go compact, subcompact, you name it. So modularity is there. If I'm being completely honest in how I feel about this, I think the only reason the military went with this weapon is simply the cost. The shells for these are about 80 bucks a piece. The actual trigger groups inside of these that are the actual weapon itself, I think I read somewhere that the military was only paying 120 and change for them, so really inexpensive. And the fact that you have the modularity of being able to make this slide whatever length you want, you don't have to add extra registration numbers. So kudos to SIG on that for making this such a modular, kind of a chameleon gun that you could pretty much do whatever you wanted with. As far as size and shape and ergos and you name it. So that's the 320. Another very relevant submission, in my opinion, the one that should have won, is the Glock 19 or the Glock 19X. As far as track record goes, you can't really beat them. The overall just shootability of them is great. If you want to change the size of the frame, just add different back straps. It would have been as simple as that. Track record, reliability, sights, just overall durability. In my opinion, the Glock should have won. But that said, these can be great guns. There's one thing that bugs me still about these, and the reason that I don't carry the 320, and I know it's something that's been mitigated, I know you can send it in, but how do you mess that up where you have a gun that's not drop safe from the factory? We've all seen the videos and we've all heard the reports of people dropping these and them going off, and the officer getting shot in the leg and suing them, and I just, After that, I was initially excited about it. It's like, yeah, $480 gun, comes with tritium night sights, it's fully modular, really neat concept. You know, it seemed like a win in my opinion, but that thought will always kind of loom in the back of my mind. So the last submission that I own, at least, is the FN 509. This is the 509 Tactical. However, I believe the one that was actually submitted for military trials was just the standard 509. So you have the M9A3. Beretta, just in case the M9A3 didn't work, also submitted a piece of crap called the APX. I shot one, I hated it. That's why I don't have one in front of you. Again, pretend this is the P09, not the P07. FN509, the Glock 19. Again, not necessarily the X, just a Glock 19. The M&P 2.0. Now, the one that was kind of weird that I still want to get my hands on just because it's cool looking, but again, it's just an overglorified P07 or P09 in my opinion, is the Sphinx SDP. Again, I'm not going to spend the money on it because I already have the polymer variant of it and I like it a lot. Now, the gun I wish I could get, and I may if the opportunity arises, is the STI Detonics STX. Cool looking gun. Look it up if you haven't seen it. It's weird, but like cool weird. And then the P320, and again their submission had a thumb safety. So of the military trial guns, the gun that replaced the tried and true Beretta M9, which replaced the tried and true 1911, wasn't a rebuilt version, wasn't the 509, wasn't the other Beretta, wasn't a Sphinx, wasn't an STI, wasn't an M&P, wasn't a CZ, wasn't a Glock, it was the SIG P320. Again, I'm sure it's working great for them, and I know some agencies actually picked up the 19, so that's good to hear. So, of you guys out there who are current military, which gun do you prefer? Did you actually like the M9A3? Would you have rather carried one of these? I'm asking you for the fact that I'm not in the military. I do enjoy all of these guns except kind of the P320, if I'm being honest. Ironically, the one that the military landed on. So, if you guys have anything to say about the submissions of the guns, or if there was anything that you think they missed out on, or anything that they should have done differently, comment below. I'm actually really curious to hear what you guys have to say. Again, a big thank you to everyone who serves. Words can't express enough how much you guys mean to me. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. And to the viewers, thank you guys for watching. And as always, be safe, and I will see you in the next video.